Monday, October the 3rd, 2004, and Randy, I, and Paul are up at my mom and dad's home in their backyard, and I've been working on a video of Dad's with his paintings, and I wanted to do a little video clip of him speaking about his painting over the many years that he has done this. As an honor to him and to be able to share the beautiful work that he has done with his abilities to paint. Dad, my first question to you is, how did you get started in painting?
Well, many years ago, I had a desire to do a little bit of painting, but one time Mom come home with a couple of paintings that was paint by the number. And she says, you always wanted to paint, here's painting by the numbers, paint that. And I painted the one picture, but it wasn't very satisfactory, and I started on the next one, and I decided that I really didn't like to do that kind of painting, so I took the rest of the paints, oils that I had, and did a picture of my own. And this picture was up in the west side of Yellowstone, and it turned out quite well, considering nobody had ever showed me how to paint or do anything. I just did it. And it was a lot of fun.
How old do you think you were?
I would have to make a wild guess out. I would say it was probably in about the mid-50s. About the mid-50s when 1950, somewhere, 55, somewhere around there.
Mm-hmm. And did you paint much in school?
Well, in school, I had an art class, and it was in the grade schools. I was probably in about the 5th grade. And I had a teacher there that she wanted everybody to paint and choose a picture to paint, and I'd chosen a picture that was on a counter, and it had a deer on, and there was a little creek that run by, and some mountains and pine trees and things like that, so I decided I'd like to paint that. And so I took a piece of plywood, and I painted with watercolors on that picture, and it really turned out very nice. I was so pleased with it. And when the teacher finally came around and got to see what I was doing, and I had most of it completed by that time, and she looked at that and she took it up and showed it to the class in the front of the class, and it was really, really nice. I thought, oh my gosh, did I do that? But it was, and I had that around for a long time. And I remember I wanted to protect it somewhat, and someone told me to put shellac over it, and that would seal it, the clear shellac. And I did that, and it just about ruined the picture after a while. It turned yellow and everything. And I don't know to this day what happened to that picture.
So when did you start painting on with oils?
Well, that happened probably about when I started really getting interested. It was probably about 1956 or 57. And I started to paint with oils then, and Marion had went down and she bought a little kit that had several different colors of oil paintings in it, and some canvases, a little small canvas in that. And I painted with that for a little while. And at that time, there was a class going on out to high school, and I joined that class, and one of the paintings that they want us to do was to do a portrait of one member of the family. And I painted one picture that I had. It happened to be of Catherine at that time, and I painted that picture, and I liked that very well. It turned out good. It may not have looked 100% like Catherine, but it was a good picture, and the things that was good about it was the colors and the texture that I had on it. It was really quite good.
Do you know what happened to the portrait of Catherine?
I don't.
Some of the original paintings that you had hanging in the house, were they of Richmond or Cherry Creek or what?
I had one of Cherry Creek that I like very much. In fact, I have one that's here now that's got part of Cherry Creek in that I really enjoy watching and looking at some of those things. But some of the paintings, most of the paintings I did early was copies of some professional painter. One of them was Robert Woods, and I enjoyed the way he painted. And he had some very rich, beautiful pictures. And then there was another one of Rasmussen's, was another Western painter, and that was really good. And then there was another Western, I can't think of his name now, but another Western that I copied, Russell. And Russell's paintings I like very much. He really captured a lot of Western, and they were active. They weren't just still pictures. They was really active. And I painted one of it had 3 steers and two riders, and the one rider was just roped to one steer, and another one was just throwing his rope to the steer. And that was one of Russell's very famous pictures.
You know, coming in being born in 56 and then getting old enough to remember things in the home, by the time I got old enough to really notice the paintings on the walls and stuff, you weren't painting anymore. For a long time, you never ever painted.
Well, most of that was because of time, but I kind of lost interest a little bit, but I was doing a lot of traveling and moving around a lot, and I wasn't home a lot. And that was the sad part of my life, not being there when I needed to be, when the children was growing up and things. But nevertheless, I did kind of discontinue for a while, but I kind of got started again a little later, and I was taking a class at school again. There was another person came in, and I remember painting one of Robert Wood's paintings, copying that. It was a beautiful fall scene, and that picture was quite large. I think it was probably about 30 by 36, and I painted that picture with the purpose in mind that as the ward was wanting to have people donate some things, and they were going to auction them off to help build the new chapel. And it was I gave it to the church, and the church sold it. And the fellow bought that, Brother Pack bought it, and Marion used to go to the house, visit teaching there all the time, and she kept looking at that picture, and she told him once that she wished I'd never give that away because she really liked it. And when they were through with it, Marion got it back, and we had that in her house for quite a while. They had a lot of shows and things that they had in Richmond, and I put a lot of different paintings on display, and some of those paintings were sold. I remember Mr. Ballum, who was our bishop at one time, he got one of the pictures I home teached there. And it was interesting, just this year we have a granddaughter back in New York, and Mr. Ballum's son was there, and he said that he had that painting in his house now, and he liked it very much.
Now, I do remember when we were older, the kids were almost all married, maybe all of us were married. You made 2 small paintings for each child, each one of the 8 kids.
Yeah, I remember that. I had a desire to paint a couple small pictures, 11 by 14, for each one of my children. And I did that, and I painted all those. And it was a hard decision, who's going to get what painting. And finally, Marion kind of picked them out and said, this goes here, this goes there, and so on, and it was distributed that way. And that sure took a lot of burden off of me because I didn't know just what to do with them. But they were given to the children, and of course later on I painted more for the grandchildren, and I think everybody has received one, at least one painting.
Then later on, you started actually taking orders from people that wanted to. When you were close to retiring, I remember you were selling paintings.
Well, I painted a few pictures and that people requested, but most of my experience in selling pictures or paintings and things was when we retired and we started going for the winter down in Yuma Lakes, and we'd spend 5, 6 months in Yuma Lakes, and down there I painted quite a few different pictures of different kinds, some on oil and canvas, and some were on seashells, and people requested me that just paint some of those. I remember once of a sleeping bear that was really good, that went up into Wyoming. And the daughter that received that painting, her mother requested that, and she was so thrilled to see that painting and to have that in her home. And then I painted many satellite dishes.
I've got a lot of the satellite pictures that you shared. I know that you painted a lot more than what I actually got pictures of that's on the video.
Yeah, that's true. I didn't take pictures of everything I'd done, but I did take a few. But some of those pictures on the satellite, there was a couple that was pretty kind of special. One was from a couple that was in New York. No, I made a mistake there. It was in Washington. It was out on Prudent Point in Washington, in the state of Washington. And they were sitting in their home looking out the window, and when they took the picture, and they went away, and when they came back, the home was burned up and gone. And so they wanted to have that bay and area and their backyard and that painted on a picture. And I did that for them. And they was really thrilled with it. Another picture that was fun to do and it was pleasing to me was, I had a lady approach me and she had several photographs of her dog. And this dog had a picture of a Mickey Mouse on the back of his back. And she had a calendar picture of the Oregon Pipe Monument.